Welcome to episode 2 of our discussion on AIOps, the key to improving tech reliability and performance. Hope you found episode 1 insightful. In case you missed episode 1, the link of the same is in the description box below. Do check out. Now let's continue our discussion with our panelists Pratiti, DS Rao, and Vijay. Let's kick off episode 2 of our conversation with you, Pratiti, and discuss what are the challenges that are typically faced by IT operations teams and how does AI Ops help to overcome these challenges?
Okay, so let me place myself as an SRE, like okay, a network SRE, and my domain is network. I'm sleeping at 2 a.m. in the night. I get an alert. Something has crashed. Nothing is working. What I do, and next 2:15 I get the second alert. So I get up and I start looking at what is coming in. I'm getting tons of metrics data, tons of logs data, and I start looking at it manually and see, oh, this is something probably a storage issue, right? So this should not have been probably routed to me in the first place. Maybe I need to get together with a storage expert and then see where the root cause is. So finding the root cause is very, very critical, right? So and you can imagine when with a SRE, I need to know how my application layout is in terms of infra topology, vertical, horizontal topology. You have logs coming in, you have metrics coming in, you're seeing the traces, how at runtime things are happening. You want to kind of remember, has such an incident happened in the past? Should I go and look at my conversational channel or Slack or some whatever Microsoft Teams, whatever I use, to see if anything has happened? Can I go and look back at my ticketing data and see, and time is going fast, right? So and then I suddenly realized this is actually not, I can't do it alone. I need people to help me. I need somebody to actually be there and tell me, okay, first thing, let's route it to the right folks, right, who can actually look at it. So I think these are alert fatigue, alert noise. I think they get overwhelmed with so much of data, right, coming in, and they have to do it fast. It becomes a critical situation, especially if it's a SEB1 episode. And the hope is that, as we are talking, AIOps can, give that assistance to the engineers rightfully at the right time. So how AIOps is helping, and AIOps also has its own challenges, right? It's how to do it is also it's a big challenge, because right from when the data is hitting us through our monitoring platforms or observability tools, uh, we have structured data. We have from metrics, we have semi-structured data or unstructured data coming in from logs. We have graph data coming from topology. We have traces where, if you don't have the topology, you sometimes try to derive the topology from traces. And then you have language data where you have incident data, you have ticket data, you have past resolutions, past incidents. If you want to mine conversations, that is another, it's a like a whole gamut of world where you want to kind of understand, you want to mimic how SREs are trying to diagnose, right? And this is what AIOps wants to do. So starting right from when the data is hitting you, you want to kind of start, a need to know, right? What insights you can derive, what correlations you can do, how can you reduce the noise? As I said, you still want an SRE's expert to be there, but to just give him the first kind of insight, how do you summarize and comprehend this view in a framework that is actually easy to visualize? I think that's where the power of AIOps comes in, right at the beginning. Diagnosis is very, very critical. You want to identify the root cause, the probable causes, and that can probably help at, remediate. So now you want to say, okay, how can you remediate it fast? Can I generate a code that can help me do it? For example, if I need to use Ansibles, can somebody actually give me those Ansible scripts, and I just have to change the parameters, for example, right? So I think that is where AIOps, the strength of AIOps is, different modalities of data coming in from different sources, and how do you kind of streamline it? Again, the power of, you have to do it fast. So streaming is another thing, right? You cannot logs processing, you need that infra also. As we were discussing, right? The adoption is critical. Do you have the infra power to kind of adopt it? Logs are coming in like thousands of logs per second. How do you actually kind of analyze it at that speed? If you want to detect anomalies, right? That is another piece. That's a critical piece that you said, oh, something is probably going wrong. You can actually forecast it and say, things are not going. It's not the normal that we are seeing. how fast can you do that so that you can try to fix it ASAP? So I think it is a very, very important thing for AIs, for businesses, for enterprises. But we should also understand the challenges that SREs face, but also the challenges that AIOps has, right? And I think it's wonderful that we are at a place where we have algorithms and models that are trying to do this cohesively across organizations, across enterprises, and it's a much needed technology. And yeah, so I think these are the main challenges that I can think of that SREs face and also AIOps faces, and how AIOps is trying to bridge the silos that we have, bridge the humongous voluminous data that we get, and finally, the end-to-end thing where you get data and you actually are into the automation, right? You can automate something, you can help SREs reduce the overload with the SREs validation. Yes, go ahead and automate this. So I think that's the end-to-end goal of AIOps. Yeah.
Very well explained, Pratiti. Thanks. Now, next question for you, Rao, is what are the key steps that enterprises should take when starting their AIOps journey?
Okay, so I can divide it into two areas, right? One is technical and other is non-technical. So when I say non-technical, first of all, the leadership should have the complete support for this project, AIOps adoption, right? And across the silos, right? So when I say the AIOps has to be applied in the overall IT, there will be a networking team, there will be application team, there will be a database team. So everybody will be onboarded with the concept of AIOps. Okay, what is the journey is going to be, and they should be able to open up, right? So for whatever reason, so a network team will not allow in general to collect the network data. Okay, so all these approvals should be team should be aligned so that they will open up to collect the data, because without the data, the AIOps doesn't work. As Preeti was mentioning, we have to get the data, whether it's the log data or a metric data, event data, especially the network topology, okay, application topology. So the main reason is everybody should be aligned for a common goal. AIOps requires collecting lots of data, okay, pulling out the data and correlating into one place. Okay, so that is the non-technical part, the leadership support and the alignment with all the teams. The second thing is the technology, right? So you should have a platform, right? It is not a point product that we are looking for. AIOps. AIOps should be a platform wherein you can absorb the data, multiple types of data, like Preeti was mentioning, log or events or topology or traces, and it can grow humongously. So the platform should have a capability to absorb the data, retain the data. That is where the data like concept will come into the picture. And the platform should have purpose-built the data stores. Like for a metric data, you need to have a special metric store. Okay, so and with that, when you have this platform, it can absorb the data. When I say a platform, right, we are platforms. We will use the cloud technologies, cloud native technologies, Kubernetes, okay, all the new DevOps technologies. All those technologies will be utilized. So the team should be prepared to upskill their skills, right? So the current IT team may not be geared up to take care of these new technologies. So we should invest in upgrading the skills of the IT teams. Okay, then you should be able to have the platform, like whatever I am saying about the BMC platform, right? So which can scale automatically, right? Because the data that is coming is the complex. One is, as Preeti mentioned, is could be structured data, semi-structured data, unstructured data. Okay, you should be able to observe the data and get the insights out of it, right? And we should be able to have an appetite to have that infrastructure also, right? When you are using the advanced AI/ML technologies, you need GPUs. And GPU doesn't come for free. Okay, we should be able to invest that much of resources into the system. Then at the end, so this all will take some time. So you should have the appetite to have wait and watch. Okay, and see the results. Okay, once you are done, then the efficiency will come at the scale. Okay, that is when you start seeing the results. But you should have a plan for that, and you should identify the use cases, right? So go with a small use case, right? And then try to see the results and whether you are getting the benefits of the AIOps, whether you are able to automate everything, because you should go to the zero touch operation, right? When a situation like SRE engineering is saying, right? SRE engineering should not do anything. You should be watching, okay? You automatically, you monitor, automatically identify, okay, find out the root cause and take the corrective action. So that is a zero touch, and it requires investment from the teams to set it up, because AIOps doesn't do everything on its own, right? You have to configure it. You have to make sure the data is in place, and you have to make sure the business service models are in place. Then the automation is in place. Okay, so then AIOps will start helping you out without any touch. So that is where people should not expect the magic in a day. Okay, it is a journey that we need to go through, and people should be able to invest the time, resources, okay, and willing to learn, okay, and digest the new technologies to get the benefit of the AIOps. That's all I would say. So we should get up. Definitely it will give you the results, but it will take time.
Sure. Great points. Thanks, Rao. My final question of this episode is for you, Vijay. What are some of the emerging technologies that have the potential to impact AIOps like GenAI? And how can these technologies be used to improve AIOps?
Yeah, GenAI, right? Everyone's talking about it. Like it or not, it's some technology that has come in, right? Technologies like this don't come in too frequently. But this is one technology that has come in, taken the world by surprise, and impacted multiple domains, and obviously AIOps too, right? So if you look at some of the ways it is influencing AIOps, the first thing is what I would like to call language-powered observability, right? So we always had observability with logs and alerts coming in, but with GenAI, I'm able to convert a message that says server XYZ CPU utilization 100%, into something that is more human readable, saying that this particular server is having an increase in a CPU by X percentage over the last 4 hours, which is driven by these 5 processes. So you're getting to see it, right? It's not just an alert anymore. It's a language powered observability where you're adding context to that. So it's much more easier for a support engineer to start looking and resolving the particular issue. Another key place where I talked about, right, in the previous episode about augmented resolution. So if you look at currently AIOps, a lot of the use cases are generally in the command center or L1 level. Very few go across to the higher levels of support. But with generative AI, because you're able to add context to an incident, whether it is the alerts, whether it's the traces, whether it's the previous change requests, if it's the sessions taken, you are able to take all this data, sift through it, and give the support engineer in a human readable format that this looks like these issues and this is the scenario. This is probably the resolution. So this is another major benefit that this helps it. Then everyone loves dashboards, right? But whenever I go and talk to a customer and told, what do you need out of a dashboard? End of the day, the message comes, actually, I'm interested in insight and what I should do. So this is where, again, GenAI can actually, while it can always show a beautiful chart, who doesn't love charts, it can also give the key messages and takeaway so that it's much more easier for the lead or the CIO to take a call. Now I can go on and on, like for example, GenAI has brought in code generation, test case preparation, documentation. Again, from an automation, it's very useful because you don't need a support automation engineer to develop all of that for you, right? So these are all the pluses, but with every technology I'm going to introduce, I'm going to say one caveat with it. So the caveat when it comes to GenAI is it's still in the nascent stages. So there's a lot of hallucinations. I've seen some beautiful outcomes and messages which actually scared me, but so be it. And another big challenge is in a lot of these company driven, whether it's Microsoft, AWS, while they are taking a lot of effort in that direction, still security of the data that we are giving, because GenAI takes a lot of data, right? So that is a concern. And the third part is in some of the, like you've seen in some countries, they've actually banned LLM because of the data used to train the model. So this is some of the small risks with this technologies like GenAI. So now I know I've taken the lion's share about GenAI, but everyone loves GenAI. So if I were to talk about maybe 3 other technologies that are very interesting from an AIOps perspective, one would be quantum computing. So today with quantum compute and AIOps, you can actually perform more complicated scenarios much faster with a larger set of data. So that means all these kind of models that we need, right? All these predictive analysis we need to do in terms of routing, in terms of load balancing, all of those scenarios, rather than using traditional compute, if we use quantum compute, we can actually get better results. So now the caveat when it comes to quantum compute is the environmental impact of using quantum compute as of today is still higher than using traditional. So one challenge I see is people ending up using quantum compute for wrong use cases within AIOps. Then if I were to talk about the next key thing is explainable AI. Because one thing, we are in the end, we are humans using a system. And for humans, the most important thing is that need of control, whether we like to accept it or not, right? So one challenge that we always want is we should know what is happening, and more importantly, why is it happening? So with a lot of AI models, it's always a kind of, if you use something like more simpler, like linear or something like decision forest, it's very easy to understand explainability. But if you end up using more deep learning kind of models, the challenge that we come into play is we are not able to get why it is doing what. So now I know there is a lot of research and a lot of work going in that space, but this is becoming very critical for us because many times when AIOps doesn't give the right recommendation or it gives a wrong correlation, it's unless we're able to explain why that happened, many times it results in disillusionment. Because people tell, last 2 times the outcome was not very sure, I cannot trust the system. So this results in a lot of issues when it comes to deployments of AIOps and of successes of use cases in AIOps. Because again, Horn-Halo effect. You may have 10 times it works brilliantly, but that one time it didn't work is what everyone would like to catch hold of. And so I think it's very clear what the caveat is. It's still a nascent space, but it is going to become very critical in the short term for AIOps. And I think the last one, this probably is because I was more of a fan of Minority Report as a kid, where you had extended reality and AR and VR coming in together and helping the police analyst to understand what's going to happen, right? So that's something similar we're trying to do in AIOps, right? In Minority Report, we were trying to predict a crime before it occurred. Here we're trying to predict an issue before it actually occurs in operations. So I do see, because again, I'm going back to the human aspect, a picture is equal to 1,000 words. So if you can give a more visual representation and 3D representation of what's going on in your environment, right? Like in a data center, that this particular server rack is having an issue, it gives much more easier ability for a support engineer to actually fix the issue. So I think that is going to be a big play in this area. And even from a training, right? Because see, another key problem we have in the AIOps space is skills. So how do you train people to use? So again, AR and VR technologies can actually play a key role in training people and getting them more industry ready. So now there are more things like federated learning, using blockchain from the security aspect of AIOps, but I guess in the interest of time, I will stop right now.
Thanks, Vijay. Those are some great insights. With that, it is a wrap on this episode of Tech Talks with NASSCOM Insights. Viewers, hope you enjoyed this discussion on AIOps, the key to improving tech reliability and performance. Thanks a lot, Pratiti, Rao, and Vijay for sharing such interesting insights. Viewers, stay tuned for more insightful discussions happening in the Indian tech industry with NASSCOM Insights YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Till then, it's goodbye from everyone here at NASSCOM Insights.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.